The alien ambassador's request echoed through the United Nations chamber, stunning the assembled dignitaries. "Human, we are yours now. Let us please thing between your legs." Jeffrey Cooper, renowned xenobiologist, stood frozen at the podium, his mind reeling from the implications of those words. Just hours ago, Earth's skies had filled with the imposing silhouettes of Talaxian spaceships, their sleek forms blotting out the sun in major cities worldwide. Panic had gripped the planet until the aliens broadcast their message of surrender and subservience to humanity. Now, as the Talaxian delegation entered the conference room, their eyes locked onto Jeffrey with an intensity that made him shift uncomfortably. The lead alien, Pixis, stepped forward, her iridescent skin shimmering under the harsh fluorescent lights. "We choose this one as humanity's representative," Pixis declared, gesturing towards Jeffrey with a slender, multi-jointed arm. UN officials exchanged worried glances as Pixis explained the Talaxians' predicament. Their civilization faced extinction due to widespread infertility. Decades of observing Earth had led them to believe human DNA held the key to their survival. In exchange for Earth's protection and resources, the Talaxians offered servitude and advanced technology. Their primary demand, however, sent shockwaves through the assembly: access to human males for breeding experiments. Jeffrey's scientific curiosity overrode his initial shock. He saw an unprecedented opportunity to study alien biology firsthand. Before the UN could voice their concerns, he stepped forward. "I volunteer as the first test subject." Murmurs of disapproval rippled through the chamber, but the Talaxian's excitement was palpable. Pixis's large, compound eyes widened, and her antennae quivered with anticipation. Over the next few days, Jeffrey underwent rigorous medical examinations. Talaxian physicians probed and scanned every inch of his body, paying particular attention to his reproductive organs. Their fascination with human genitalia bordered on obsession, leaving Jeffrey both intrigued and uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Pixis and her team transformed a section of their mothership into a specialized laboratory. Earth's top scientists collaborated with the aliens, sharing knowledge and technology at an unprecedented rate. The air crackled with a mixture of excitement and tension. As preparations for the first human Talaxian mating experiment neared completion, the stakes became clear. Success could save an alien race and catapult humanity into a new era of interstellar dominance. Failure might incur the wrath of a desperate and technologically superior species. Jeffrey stood at the airlock, ready to board the Talaxian shuttle. The weight of two civilizations' futures rested on his shoulders, and more specifically, on the thing between his legs that had so captivated Earth's new alien subjects. With a deep breath, he stepped forward, embarking on humanity's most intimate first contact. As Jeffrey stepped onto the Talaxian shuttle, the gravity shifted subtly beneath his feet. The sleek interior pulsed with an otherworldly energy, a constant reminder that he was venturing into the unknown. Through the viewport, Earth shrank to a blue marble, giving way to the vast expanse of space. The journey to the mothership was mercifully short. Upon docking, Jeffrey was immediately whisked away to a sterile medical bay. Dr. Zara, the lead Talaxian xenobiologist, greeted him with a series of rapid clicks and whistles that his translator rendered into crisp, clinical English. "Welcome, Dr. Cooper. We'll begin with a full-spectrum analysis of your physiology." Over the next several hours, Jeffrey endured a battery of tests unlike anything he'd experienced on Earth. Beams of light in colors he couldn't name danced across his skin. Machines hummed and whirred, recording every minute detail of his biology. Dr. Zara's compound eyes widened as she reviewed the results. "Fascinating. The compatibility between our species is unexpected." Jeffrey leaned forward, his scientific curiosity piqued. "How so?" "There are striking similarities in our genetic structures," Dr. Zara explained, manipulating a holographic display of intertwining DNA strands. "It's as if our species evolved along parallel paths." As Jeffrey absorbed this information, alarms blared throughout the ship. Dr. Zara's antennae twitched in agitation. "It seems your arrival has not gone unnoticed on your planet." On the interfaces, images of Earth's cities flashed by. Crowds had gathered in streets and squares, their signs and banners a mix of welcome and warning. In New York, a group hoisted a banner reading, "Aliens Welcome," while across the street, protesters chanted, "Hands off human DNA." Jeffrey felt a pang of guilt. In his eagerness to pursue scientific discovery, he'd overlooked the broader implications for humanity. But before he could dwell on it further, the door to the medical bay slid open with a soft hiss. A young Talaxian female entered, her iridescent skin shimmering with nervous energy. Dr. Zara made the introductions. "Dr. Cooper, this is Lyra. She has been chosen as your mating partner for the initial trials." Lyra's large eyes met Jeffrey's, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension evident in her gaze. "I am honored to participate in this historic endeavor," she said, her voice melodious despite the electronic tones of the translator. Over the next few days, Jeffrey and Lyra spent hours together, discussing the intricacies of Talaxian reproduction. Lyra explained their complex hormonal cycles, which required precise synchronization between partners. "Our bodies must align perfectly," Lyra said, gesturing to a holographic diagram of Talaxian anatomy. "It's a delicate dance of chemicals and timing." To facilitate this process, the Talaxians transformed a section of the ship into a simulacrum of their homeworld. Jeffrey found himself in an alien landscape of bioluminescent flora and swirling mist. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents, and the gravity fluctuated in subtle waves. As they began the synchronization process, both Jeffrey and Lyra experienced unexpected physical reactions. Jeffrey's skin tingled with a strange electricity, while Lyra's normally iridescent complexion took on a deeper, more vibrant hue. Dr. Zara monitored their progress closely, her excitement almost unchecked. "These changes are unprecedented. We're witnessing the first steps towards true interspecies compatibility." Meanwhile, back on Earth, the newly formed Interspecies Reproduction Oversight Committee, IROS, grappled with the ethical implications of the experiments. Dr. Marcus Webb, the committee's chair, addressed a packed auditorium at the United Nations. "While the scientific potential is undeniable, we must proceed with caution," he urged. "The long-term consequences of these experiments are unknown. We need more data before we can ethically proceed with a full-scale breeding program." His words were met with a mixture of applause and dissent, reflecting the divided opinions of the global community. Aboard the mothership, Jeffrey and Lyra's first mating attempt revealed the true complexity of their task. Despite their newfound physiological changes, their anatomies remained frustratingly incompatible. Dr. Zara and her team worked tirelessly to bridge this gap. They developed a series of biocompatible synthetic hormones designed to further alter both human and Talaxian physiology. As Jeffrey received his first dose, he felt a deep warmth spreading through his body. Looking down, he saw his skin taking on a faint, otherworldly sheen. Across the room, Lyra's form seemed to shimmer and shift, her alien features softening into something almost human. The changes were subtle at first, but accelerated rapidly. Jeffrey's senses sharpened, allowing him to perceive spectrums of light and sound previously invisible to human perception. Lyra's exoskeleton became more pliant, her internal structures rearranging to more closely mimic human anatomy. As these dramatic changes unfolded, a new complication arose. A massive ship dwarfing even the Talaxian mothership appeared in Earth's orbit. The Galactic Council had arrived, led by Ambassador Krell of the Andromedan species. Krell's holographic image appeared before the UN Security Council, his multiple appendages gesticulating as he spoke. "We have observed your experiments with great interest. Many species in our galaxy face similar fertility crises. We propose expanding your program to include multiple races." This unexpected offer threw Earth's leaders into turmoil. The potential for alliances with advanced alien civilizations was tantalizing, but the ethical concerns loomed large. As debates raged on Earth, Jeffrey and Lyra continued their transformation aboard the Talaxian ship. Their bodies had become hybrid forms, neither fully human nor Talaxian. Dr. Zara's scans revealed something extraordinary. Their DNA was merging, creating an entirely new genetic structure. "This goes beyond mere compatibility," Dr. Zara announced, her voice trembling with excitement. "We may be witnessing the birth of a new species, one that could bridge the gap between our civilizations." The implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through both human and Talaxian communities. But before its full impact could be assessed, alarms blared once again. On Earth, a series of coordinated attacks rocked research facilities involved in the breeding program. The radical group Humanity First claimed responsibility, declaring their intent to keep humanity pure. The attacks left both humans and Talaxians reeling. As reports of the damage flooded in, the Talaxian High Command convened an emergency meeting. Their voices echoed through the ship's communication systems, filled with anger and fear. "Perhaps we were mistaken to place our trust in humans," one commander argued. "We should withdraw now, before it's too late." Jeffrey, his body now a living testament to the potential of their experiments, found himself at a crossroads. The choice before him was clear: return to an Earth in chaos, or continue the experiments that might save the Talaxian race, and perhaps reshape the future of both their species. As he pondered his decision, alarms blared once more. The Galactic Council's ship was moving, its massive form casting a shadow over both the Talaxian mothership and the blue planet below. Whatever choice Jeffrey made, it was clear that the consequences would ripple far beyond Earth and the Talaxians, affecting the fate of civilizations across the stars. Galaxy. The massive Galactic Council ship loomed over Earth and the Talaxian mothership, its presence a stark reminder of the cosmic scale of recent events. Aboard the Talaxian vessel, Jeffrey's altered form trembled with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. His decision caused great concern upon him, but the potential to reshape the future of two species, perhaps even the galaxy, drove him forward. "I'll continue," he announced, his voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre that still surprised him. Dr. Zara's compound eyes glimmered with approval. "Excellent. We'll proceed with the next phase immediately." As they prepared for another round of experiments, events on Earth unfolded at a dizzying pace. The United Nations convened an emergency session, the chamber buzzing with tension and conflicting opinions. Dr. Marcus Webb, head of the Interspecies Reproduction Oversight Committee, took the podium. His weathered face bore the strain of sleepless nights and weighty decisions. "Distinguished delegates," he began, his voice steady despite the gravity of his words, "I come before you with unprecedented findings. The synthetic hormones developed by the Talaxian team have induced genetic mutations in both Dr. Cooper and his Talaxian partner, Lyra." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. Dr. Webb continued, pulling up holographic displays of twisting DNA strands. "These mutations have resulted in a hybrid DNA structure. In essence, we are witnessing the potential birth of an entirely new species." The chamber erupted into chaos. Some delegates leapt to their feet, shouting about the dangers of playing God. Others saw the glimmer of a brighter future in this genetic alchemy. Ambassador Krell of the Andromedan species seized the moment, his holographic form pulsing with terrifying excitement. "Esteemed humans, this discovery could revolutionize reproduction for countless species across the galaxy. We urge you to expand your program. The Galactic Council stands ready to provide resources and additional test subjects." The UN Secretary General raised her hands, calling for order. "We must approach this matter with utmost caution. The implications are far-reaching and potentially irreversible." As debates raged on Earth, Jeffrey and Lyra prepared for their second mating attempt aboard the Talaxian ship. The alien landscape of bioluminescent flora pulsed around them, reflecting their nervous energy. Lyra's iridescent skin shimmered with an almost human blush. "Are you certain about this, Jeffrey? The changes we've undergone, they're beyond anything we anticipated." Jeffrey took her hand, now more familiar in shape yet still alien in texture. "I am. Whatever we become, we're in this together." Dr. Zara monitored their vital signs, her antennae twitching with scientific fervor. "Remember, your physiologies are still adapting. Proceed slowly and communicate any discomfort." As Jeffrey and Lyra began their intimate dance, their hybrid bodies responded in ways neither human nor Talaxian science had predicted. Waves of bioluminescence rippled across their skin, and the air around them seemed to crackle with bioelectric energy. On Earth, a new player entered the complex game of interspecies politics. Colonel Jack Harper strode into the high-security facility, codenamed Project Genesis, his piercing gaze taking in banks of advanced monitoring equipment. "Status report," he barked, addressing a team of human and Talaxian scientists. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead xenogeneticist, brought up a holographic display. "Colonel, we've isolated the key genetic markers that make certain humans compatible with the Talaxian physiology. We're ready to begin screening volunteers." Harper nodded, his expression grim. "Good. We need results, and we need them fast. The brass is breathing down my neck about potential military applications." As Project Genesis ramped up its operations, public opinion underwent a seismic shift. News of the genetic mutations spread like wildfire, igniting the imaginations of millions. Volunteer centers were flooded with applicants, each hoping to be part of humanity's next evolutionary leap. The Talaxian High Command, bolstered by this enthusiasm, agreed to maintain their position in Earth's orbit. However, their decision was not unanimous. Whispers of dissent echoed through the mothership's corridors. In response to the growing complexity of the situation, the UN established the Interspecies Relations Bureau. Their first act was to launch a global educational campaign, featuring holographic demonstrations of Talaxian culture and the potential benefits of the breeding program. Meanwhile, in a shadowy corner of New York City, Ambassador Krell met with the leaders of the Humanity First movement. The Andromedan's multiple appendages twitched with terrifying glee. "My friends," Krell purred, his translator struggling to convey his alien intonations, "certain members of the Galactic Council share your concerns about this hybrid species. We're prepared to offer you significant technological upgrades in exchange for your assistance in sabotaging Project Genesis." The human extremists exchanged wary glances, their hatred of aliens warring with their desire for advanced weaponry. Back on the Talaxian mothership, Dr. Zara made a startling discovery. Lyra's latest genetic scans revealed an anomaly that sent shockwaves through the scientific team. "The synthetic hormones," Dr. Zara explained to a visibly shaken Jeffrey, "they've accelerated Lyra's genetic changes beyond our models. She may no longer be compatible with your hybrid DNA." Jeffrey's altered features contorted with concern. "What does this mean for the program? For us?" Before Dr. Zara could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Talaxian captain's voice crackled over the intercom, tinged with urgency. "All personnel to battle stations. Unknown fleet approaching at high velocity. Intentions unclear. Repeat, unknown fleet approaching." As the Talaxian mothership hummed to life, preparing for potential conflict, Jeffrey and Lyra exchanged a look of grit. Whatever challenges lay ahead, be they genetic, political, or from the depths of space, they would face them together, as pioneers of a new era in galactic history. Civilization. As the alarms continued to blare throughout the Talaxian mothership, a new crisis emerged, overshadowing the genetic challenges faced by Jeffrey and Lyra. Colonel Jack Harper's gruff voice crackled through the ship's communication system. "This is a code-red evacuation order. All personnel involved in the hybrid breeding program are to report to the central hangar immediately. We're initiating emergency transfer protocols." Jeffrey and Lyra exchanged alarmed glances, their hybrid forms shimmering with bioluminescent patterns of stress and confusion. Dr. Zara hurried into the room, her compound eyes reflecting the flashing red emergency lights. "We must move quickly," she chittered, her antennae twitching with nervous energy. "The unknown fleet's approach has accelerated our timeline. We're being transferred to Project Genesis on Earth." As they rushed through the corridors of the Talaxian ship, Jeffrey felt a surge of conflicting emotions. The thought of returning to Earth filled him with a mix of anticipation and dread. He glanced at Lyra, noting how her once alien features had softened into something hauntingly beautiful, neither fully human nor Talaxian. The central hangar was a scene of controlled chaos. Humans and Talaxians worked side by side, loading equipment and research materials into sleek shuttles. Colonel Harper stood at the center of the storm, barking orders and coordinating the evacuation. "Cooper, get your alien ass over here," Harper shouted as he spotted Jeffrey. "You and your partner are our top priority. We need you on the first shuttle out. As they boarded, Dr. Zara pushed her way through the crowd. I'm coming with them, she declared, her tone brooking no argument. My research is crucial to the program's success. Harper nodded curtly, too focused on the evacuation to argue. The shuttle's engines roared to life, and Jeffrey felt a momentary pang of loss as they departed the Talaxian mothership, the site of his transformation and newfound connection with Lyra. The journey to Earth was tense and silent. Jeffrey could feel the weight of expectations pressing down on him. He was no longer just a participant in an experiment. He had become a symbol of hope for two species, perhaps even for the entire galaxy. Upon arrival at Project Genesis, they were whisked away to a state-of-the-art medical bay. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead xenogeneticist, greeted them with a mix of scientific curiosity and barely concealed excitement. We need to run a full battery of tests immediately, she explained, guiding Jeffrey and Lyra to separate examination pods. The genetic changes you've undergone are unprecedented. We need to understand every aspect of your new physiology. Hours passed in a blur of scans, blood draws, and tissue samples. Jeffrey felt like a specimen under a microscope, but he understood the necessity. As Dr. Rodriguez reviewed the results, her eyes widened with astonishment. This is remarkable, she breathed, bringing up a holographic display of intertwining DNA strands. Your genetic structures have stabilized into a completely unique hybrid form. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. Dr. Marcus Webb, his face lined with the weight of recent events, stepped forward to examine the results. We need to move quickly, he said, his voice tinged with urgency. The approaching fleet changes everything. We may not have the luxury of time for further experimentation. Before Jeffrey could process this information, alarms blared throughout the facility. Colonel Harper burst into the room, his face a mask of awe-inspiring fury. We've got a situation, he growled. Some damn journalists have exposed Krell's dealings with those Humanity First nut jobs. The UN's in an uproar, and the Galactic Council's recalling their ambassador. As if on cue, a holographic news feed sprang to life in the center of the room. It showed chaotic scenes from the United Nations, with delegates shouting and gesticulating wildly. The image shifted to a stern-faced Andromedan official announcing the immediate recall of Ambassador Krell and the appointment of a new representative, Ambassador Vex. Amidst the growing tension, Dr. Zara and Dr. Webb huddled together, deep in discussion. After several minutes, they approached Jeffrey and Lyra with determined expressions. We've developed a new set of synthetic hormones, Dr. Zara explained, her voice vibrating with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They could potentially stabilize your hybrid DNA, allowing for successful reproduction. However, the treatment carries significant risks. Dr. Webb nodded gravely. The changes to your physiology could be irreversible. We can't predict all the potential side effects. Colonel Harper, overhearing the conversation, strode over with purpose. We don't have time for more tests, he insisted. That fleet is getting closer by the minute. If these hybrids could give us an advantage, we need to act now. Dr. Webb bristled at Harper's tone. We can't rush this. The ethical implications alone. Ethics won't mean a damn thing if that fleet turns out to be hostile, Harper shot back. As the argument escalated, Jeffrey felt Lyra's hand slip into his. He turned to meet her gaze, seeing his own mixture of fear and commitment reflected in her eyes. We'll do it, Jeffrey said, his voice cutting through the heated debate. We understand the risks, but we also understand what's at stake. This could be our best chance to bridge our species and face whatever's coming together. Lyra nodded in agreement, her hybrid features set in a look of fierce willpower. Dr. Zara began preparing the hormone treatment, her movements precise and deliberate. As she approached with the first dose, Jeffrey and Lyra exchanged a final look of understanding. Whatever changes lay ahead, they would face them together. The moment the treatment began, Jeffrey felt a familiar warmth spreading through his body, but this time, the sensation was accompanied by a strange tingling, as if every cell in his body was awakening to a new potential. Across the room, a group of human volunteers stepped forward, inspired by Jeffrey and Lyra's courage. They offered themselves as additional test subjects for hybrid breeding experiments with other Talaxian volunteers. As the hormone treatment continued, Jeffrey and Lyra's bodies began to change at an alarming rate. Their skin shifted and shimmered, taking on new textures and hues. Jeffrey felt his senses sharpening even further, becoming aware of energies and frequencies he had never perceived before. Dr. Rodriguez monitored their vital signs closely, her face a mixture of concern and fascination. Their physiological changes are triggering some kind of energy signature, she reported, her voice tense. It's unlike anything we've seen before. Suddenly, an urgent communication came through from Earth's long-range sensors. Colonel Harper's face paled as he listened to the report. The unknown fleet, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. They've altered course. They're heading straight for us. As the implications of this news sank in, the facility's security systems blared to life. Multiple breaches had been detected in the perimeter. Security footage revealed a horrifying sight. Heavily armed humanity-first extremists, wielding advanced weapons, were fighting their way towards the central laboratory. Dr. Webb's eyes widened in terror. They're coming for Jeffrey and Lyra, he realized. We need to protect them at all costs. As chaos erupted around them, Jeffrey and Lyra remained locked in their transformation, their bodies changing in ways that could alter the course of human and Talaxian history. The fate of two species, perhaps even the galaxy, hung in the balance as the unknown fleet approached and danger closed in from all sides. As the facility's alarms blared, Colonel Harper's face hardened with persistence. He turned to the assembled group, his voice cutting through the chaos. We're initiating emergency protocols. Cooper, Lyra, you're coming with me. Before Jeffrey could process the sudden shift, Harper was already moving, gesturing for them to follow. Dr. Zara and Dr. Webb hurriedly gathered essential equipment, their movements precise despite the urgency. What about the others? Jeffrey asked, glancing back at the human volunteers who had stepped forward. They'll be evacuated separately, Harper replied, not breaking stride. You two are our priority. As they rushed through the corridors, a new figure joined their group, a tall, lean woman with close-cropped hair and piercing eyes. Major Alex Ryder, head of Project Genesis Security, she introduced herself briskly. I'll be coordinating our defense. The sound of distant explosions reverberated through the complex. Ryder's hand went to her earpiece. Perimeter breach confirmed. Humanity first extremists heavily armed. Harper nodded grimly. Get your team in position, Major. We can't let them reach the hybrids. As Ryder peeled off to organize the counterattack, Harper led Jeffrey, Lyra, and the scientist to a hidden elevator. The doors slid open, revealing a state-of-the-art bunker. Welcome to our contingency plan, Harper said as they entered. This place is designed to withstand anything short of a direct nuclear strike. As the scientists set up their equipment, Jeffrey felt a sudden surge of energy course through his body. He gasped, doubling over. Beside him, Lyra experienced the same sensation, her skin rippling with bioluminescent patterns. Dr. Zara rushed to their side, her antennae twitching with concern. The transformation, it's accelerating! Dr. Webb's eyes widened as he studied the readings on his portable scanner. This energy signature, it's unlike anything we've seen before. Above them, the sounds of battle intensified. The clash of advanced weaponry echoed through the facility as Major Ryder's security forces engaged the humanity-first attackers. In the bunker, Jeffrey and Lyra's bodies continued to change at an alarming rate. Their skin shimmered, taking on new textures and hues. Jeffrey felt his senses expanding, becoming aware of energies and frequencies he had never perceived before. Dr. Zara's compound eyes reflected the pulsing light emanating from the hybrids. The energy they're emitting, it's interfering with our systems. As if to confirm her words, the bunker's lights flickered and several monitors went dark. Harper cursed under his breath, reaching for his communicator. Harper to Talaxian Command, come in, he barked. After a moment of static, a response crackled through. Colonel, we've decrypted part of a transmission from the approaching fleet, the Talaxian voice reported. It mentions an ancient prophecy about two species uniting to create a powerful new race. Harper's gaze darted to Jeffrey and Lyra, his expression a mix of awe and apprehension. Send me the full report immediately. As the implications of this news sank in, Harper made a decision. "We're initiating Protocol Omega," he announced, his tone leaving no room for argument. Dr. Webb looked up sharply. "The Genesis Ark? But it's not fully tested." "We're out of options," Harper cut him off. "Prepare for immediate evacuation." As the scientists scrambled to comply, Jeffrey felt a strange resonance within his changing body. He turned to Lyra, seeing his own mix of fear and excitement reflected in her alien eyes. "Whatever happens," he said softly, taking her hand, "we're in this together." Suddenly, the bunker shook violently. Major Ryder's voice came through the intercom, tense and breathless. "Colonel, we can't hold them much longer. They're breaking through our outer defenses." Harper's lips pursed. "Understood, Major. Fall back to secondary positions. We're launching in 5 minutes." As the battle raged above, Dr. Webb made a startling discovery. "Colonel, look at this," he called out, gesturing to his datapad. "The hybrid DNA, it's not just stable, it's adaptable. It could potentially enhance various alien physiologies." Before anyone could fully process this revelation, another explosion rocked the bunker. The sounds of fighting grew closer. "They're almost through," Ryder's voice crackled over the intercom. Harper's hand hovered over the launch controls. "Everyone, brace for emergency ascent. This is going to be rough." As he initiated the launch sequence, Jeffrey felt a surge of energy building within him and Lyra. Their bodies began to emit pulses of light, growing stronger with each passing second. "The energy signature," Dr. Zara exclaimed, "it's intensifying." The bunker trembled as hidden mechanisms engaged, preparing for launch. Outside, the Humanity First attackers breached the final defenses, only to find their weapons suddenly disabled by the pulsing energy. In orbit, the Talaxian fleet detected the launch preparations. Misinterpreting the situation, they began charging their weapons, pushing the fragile human-Talaxian alliance to its breaking point. As Genesis Ark shuddered and began to rise, carrying its precious cargo of hybrids and scientists, the mysterious fleet approaching Earth suddenly accelerated. Jeffrey and Lyra, their bodies still radiating pulses of strange energy, stood at the heart of the ascending space station. As they broke through the atmosphere, the vast expanse of space opened before them, filled with both promise and peril. The fate of multiple species now rested on their shoulders, as Genesis Ark ascended into the unknown, leaving behind a world in chaos and racing towards an uncertain future among the stars. Stars. The sudden acceleration of Genesis Ark pushed Jeffrey and Lyra against the curved wall of the launch chamber, their altered bodies pulsing with waves of ethereal light. As they broke through the atmosphere, a shimmering field enveloped the entire structure. "Cloaking technology engaged," a computerized voice announced. The view outside the station's windows shifted, the Earth and stars becoming distorted before vanishing entirely. Colonel Harper's voice crackled over the intercom. "All personnel, report status." Dr. Zara's compound eyes darted between her instruments and the hybrid couple. "The subjects are emitting high levels of unknown energy. We need to stabilize them immediately." Harper nodded grimly. "Initiate emergency stabilization protocols. We can't risk losing them now." As the scientists scrambled to adjust their equipment, Jeffrey felt a surge of pain course through his body. He gritted his teeth, trying to focus on Lyra's face. Her features were shifting, becoming more angular and alien with each passing moment. "Lyra," he gasped, reaching out to her. "Are you okay?" She opened her mouth to respond, but only a strange, harmonic sound emerged. Her eyes widened in surprise and fear. Dr. Webb rushed to their side, scanner in hand. "Their physiology is changing at an exponential rate. It's as if their DNA is adapting to space itself." Across the room, a bank of monitors flickered to life, showing multiple views of Earth. Harper's eyes hardened as he watched the chaos unfolding below. On one screen, the Project Genesis facility was overrun with heavily armed figures. A woman in a torn military uniform, Major Alex Ryder, crawled towards a communications terminal, leaving a trail of blood behind her. She punched in a series of codes before collapsing. Another screen showed a man with piercing eyes and a charismatic smile addressing a crowd. The caption identified him as Victor Crane, leader of Humanity First. His words scrolled across the bottom of the screen. The truth about the alien hybridization program. Rise up, fellow humans. Reject this cosmic corruption. Harper's fist clenched at his sides. Damn it! This is going to complicate things. A sudden alarm blared through the station. Dr. Zara's antennae twitched in agitation as she studied a new set of readings. Colonel, the hybrid's energy emissions are affecting our systems. The station's organic components are evolving. As if to emphasize her point, the walls around them seemed to pulse, taking on a more vein-like texture. The air grew thick with an electric charge. Sir, one of the technicians called out, we're detecting multiple ships approaching our last known position. Talaxian scouts. Harper's eyes narrowed. They must be searching for us. Maintain cloak and prepare evasive maneuvers if necessary. Hours passed in a flurry of activity. The scientists worked tirelessly to control Jeffrey and Lyra's transformation, their bodies now barely recognizable as human or Talaxian. The couple drifted in and out of consciousness, each time waking to find their forms further altered. During a moment of lucidity, Jeffrey gazed down at his hands, now elongated and shimmering with a metallic sheen. He flexed his fingers, feeling a strange new strength coursing through them. "What's happening to us?" he whispered. Dr. Webb approached, his face a mixture of exhaustion and wonder. "Your hybrid DNA, it's evolving at a rate we've never seen before. You're adapting to the space environment in ways we couldn't have imagined." Before Jeffrey could respond, Colonel Harper strode into the room, his face grave. "We've got a situation. The unknown fleet has just crossed Mars's orbit. They'll be here in hours." The news sent a ripple of tension through the room. Dr. Zara's compound eyes widened. "But that's impossible. No known technology could achieve such speeds." Harper nodded grimly. "Tell that to the fleet that's about to knock on our door. We need to prepare for all possibilities." As the colonel outlined their options, Jeffrey felt a strange resonance within his altered body. He turned to Lyra, seeing the same awareness in her alien eyes. Without words, they understood. They were connected to something greater, something that transcended their individual forms. Suddenly, the station shuddered. Alarms blared as the unknown fleet came to an abrupt stop just beyond the moon's orbit. A massive ship, dwarfing even the largest Talaxian vessels, detached from the formation and approached Earth. "By the cosmic winds," Dr. Zara breathed, her antennae quivering. "I've never seen anything like it." Before anyone could react, a powerful transmission cut through all communication channels. The message, clear and resonant, echoed through the station in multiple languages. "People of Earth and Talax, we are the progenitors. We have watched and guided your evolution for millennia. The union of your species marks the next phase of our grand experiment. The hybrids are the key to unlocking the true potential of life in this galaxy." The revelation sent shockwaves through the station. Colonel Harper, his face set with commitment, made a decisive move. "Disengage the cloak. Set a course for the progenitor vessel." As Genesis Arc revealed itself, the massive alien ship loomed before them, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Inside the station, Dr. Zara and Dr. Webb prepared for the final stage of the mating experiment. Jeffrey and Lyra were guided to a specially prepared chamber, their bodies now glowing with an intense, pulsating light. "Remember," Dr. Webb said, his voice thick with emotion, "whatever happens in there, you're making history. The fate of multiple species rests on your shoulders." As the chamber door sealed behind them, Jeffrey took Lyra's hand, or what had once been her hand. Their transformed bodies resonated with each other, creating harmonics that vibrated through the entire station. Outside, a visible beam of energy connected Genesis Arc to the progenitor ship, bathing both vessels in a brilliant, otherworldly light. The eyes of two civilizations and the inscrutable gaze of the ancient progenitors, all focused on the small station where two beings, neither human nor Talaxian, prepared to take the next step in galactic evolution. Evolution. As Jeffrey and Lyra's bodies merged in a brilliant display of light and energy, the entire Genesis Arc station shuddered. The pulsating glow emanating from the couple intensified, creating a visible beam that connected their chamber to the massive progenitor ship looming outside. Colonel Harper steadied himself against a console as the vibrations increased. "Status report," he barked. Dr. Zara's compound eyes darted between screens. "The energy signature is off the charts. It's creating some kind of resonance with the progenitor vessel." Before anyone could react further, a shimmering field enveloped the station. The stars outside the viewports blurred and stretched. In an instant, the familiar backdrop of Earth and its orbiting ships vanished, replaced by the interior of a vast, bioorganic chamber. Harper blinked, disoriented by the sudden change. He found himself, along with Dr. Zara, Dr. Webb, and their equipment, in an observation area overlooking an enormous arena-like space. Below, Jeffrey and Lyra materialized in the center, their hybrid forms radiant with otherworldly energy. "By the cosmic winds," Dr. Zara whispered, her antennae quivering. "We're inside the progenitor ship." Around the glowing couple, translucent beings of pure energy began to appear. Their forms shifted and flowed, defying easy description. One entity, larger and more intricate than the others, approached the edge of the arena. A voice, echoing not through the air but directly in their minds, filled the chamber. "We are the progenitors. I am the architect. Welcome, children of Earth and Talax, to the culmination of our grand experiment." Dr. Webb's eyes widened. "Telepathy? Fascinating." The architect's form pulsed as it continued. "For millennia, we have guided the evolution of your species. The union of human and Talaxian was the final stage, creating a new race capable of shepherding the next phase of galactic evolution." Colonel Harper stepped forward, his military training barely containing his awe. "Why us? Why now?" The architect's response carried a note of urgency. "Our own physical forms are deteriorating. We seek worthy successors to inherit our knowledge and responsibilities." As the implications of this revelation sank in, alarms blared through the chamber. A holographic display materialized, showing a small fleet of ships approaching the progenitor vessel. Dr. Zara zoomed in on the lead ship. "It's Victor Crane. How did the Humanity First extremists find us?" Before anyone could speculate, the attacking ships opened fire. Energy weapons impacted the progenitor vessel's shields, creating ripples of light but causing no apparent damage. Harper's fist clenched. "They're going to get themselves killed." As if in response to his words, Victor Crane's ship accelerated, aimed directly at the progenitor vessel. The collision created a blinding explosion, momentarily disrupting the energy shields. "They've breached the outer defenses," Dr. Webb exclaimed, pointing to a readout showing a small team of Humanity First soldiers entering the ship. In the arena below, Jeffrey and Lyra's bodies began to merge at a molecular level. Waves of energy pulsed outward, washing over the human and Talaxian observers. Dr. Zara gasped as her compound eyes briefly shifted, granting her a dizzying, multispectral vision. Dr. Webb found himself solving complex equations in his mind at impossible speeds, the heightened awareness fading as quickly as it came. The architect's form flickered with what might have been concern. "The hybridization must not be interrupted. Colonel Harper, we require your assistance." As if summoned by the architect's words, Major Alex Ryder materialized in the observation area, her uniform torn and bloodstained. She stumbled, caught by Harper. "Major, how—" Ryder quickly regained her composure. "No time to explain, sir. We have hostiles incoming." The architect's voice resonated in their minds once more. "Defend the hybridization process. The future of galactic evolution depends on it." Harper nodded grimly, drawing his sidearm. "Doctors, secure your equipment. Major Ryder, with me." As Harper and Ryder moved to establish defensive positions, the chamber's organic walls began to shift and pulse. Barriers formed, creating a labyrinth around the central arena where Jeffrey and Lyra continued their transformation. In orbit around Earth, confusion reigned. Garbled transmissions from within the progenitor ship reached both human and Talaxian fleets. Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force conferred with her Talaxian counterpart, Zorax. "We can't just leave them in there," Chen argued. "We need to launch a rescue operation." Zorax's tendrils writhed with agitation. The risk is too great. We've seen what their technology can do. Before they could reach a decision, new alarms blared. The progenitor ship's energy readings had become erratic, its massive form shuddering visibly. Inside the central chamber, chaos erupted. Victor Crane and his team of extremists burst through a pulsating organic doorway, their weapons modified with salvaged Talaxian technology. "Stop this abomination!" Crane shouted, firing at the swirling energy sphere that had once been Jeffrey and Lyra. Colonel Harper and Major Ryder returned fire, their conventional weapons proving ineffective against the ship's organic defenses. Energy blasts sizzled past, leaving scorch marks on the living walls. Dr. Zara and Dr. Webb scrambled to protect their monitoring equipment as the chamber convulsed around them. The progenitors, their ethereal forms now intrinsically linked to the hybridization process, struggled to maintain control. The architect's voice, now strained, echoed through the minds of all present. "The ship's systems are destabilizing. We cannot contain the energies we have unleashed." In the center of the arena, the energy sphere containing Jeffrey and Lyra's merged forms began to pulsate erratically. Tendrils of power lashed out, carving furrows in the organic floor and walls. Victor Crane, his eyes wild with fanatical fervor, charged towards the sphere. "I'll end this myself." Major Ryder tackled him, both figures rolling dangerously close to the unstable energy field. Harper provided covering fire, forcing the remaining extremists back. Dr. Webb's voice cut through the chaos. "The hybridization process is reaching critical mass. If it collapses now, the results could be catastrophic." The chamber groaned, its organic structure buckling under the strain. The fate of the experiment and potentially the future of galactic evolution hung in the balance as the energy sphere grew more unstable with each passing second. In the observation area, Dr. Zara made a desperate decision. She reached for a piece of equipment, her compound eyes fixed on the roiling energy below. "I have an idea," she shouted over the din, "but it's risky." As she began to reconfigure the device, the chamber shuddered once more. The battle raged on, with Harper and Ryder fighting to keep Crane and his followers at bay. The progenitors, their forms flickering like dying stars, poured their remaining energy into stabilizing the hybridization process. In the heart of the maelstrom, the energy sphere containing what was once Jeffrey and Lyra pulsed with the combined potential of two species and the ancient power of the progenitors. What would emerge from this crucible of creation remained uncertain, as did the fate of all those caught in its transformative wake. As the energy sphere containing Jeffrey and Lyra pulsed erratically, tendrils of power lashing out and carving furrows in the organic floor, Dr. Zara's desperate attempt to stabilize the process was cut short. The sphere suddenly expanded, its light intensifying to blinding levels. Colonel Harper, Major Ryder, and even Victor Crane instinctively shielded their eyes, their ongoing struggle momentarily forgotten. A deafening hum filled the chamber, rising in pitch until it abruptly ceased. In that instant of silence, the sphere burst, releasing a shockwave that swept through the room with irresistible force. Bodies were thrown to the ground, equipment toppled, and the ship's systems flickered and died. For several long seconds, darkness and silence reigned. Then gradually, emergency lights sputtered to life, casting an eerie glow across the chamber. As the combatants struggled to their feet, their gazes were drawn to the center of the arena. Where the sphere had been, a single figure now stood. It was neither Jeffrey nor Lyra, yet somehow both. The being before them embodied the best traits of human and Talaxian, its form a harmonious blend of both species. An aura of power and wisdom radiated from it, palpable even to those who moments ago had been locked in mortal combat. The being's eyes opened, revealing irises that shimmered with the colors of a cosmic nebula. It raised its hands, palms outward in a gesture that was both calming and commanding. In that instant, every weapon in the chamber, from Harper's sidearm to the modified Talaxian technology wielded by Crane's extremists, simply ceased to exist, dissolving into motes of light that quickly faded. "I am Lyrix," the being spoke, its voice a perfect melding of Jeffrey and Lyra's, resonating with newfound depth and authority. "The experiment you sought to create or destroy has reached its conclusion, But it is only the beginning. Victor Crane, his face contorted with a mixture of awe and lingering fanaticism, staggered forward. What are you? Lyrix turned its gaze upon him, and Crane felt the weight of centuries of knowledge bearing down upon him. I am the bridge, Lyrix explained, its voice echoing not just through the air, but directly into the minds of all present. The link between humanity, Talaxians, and the cosmic legacy of the progenitors. Through me, the true potential foreseen by our ancient guides has been unlocked. As Lyrix spoke, the damaged chamber began to repair itself. Organic walls knitted back together, scorched surfaces regenerated, and fallen equipment righted itself. With a mere thought, Lyrix had restored the progenitor ship to its former glory. The being's attention turned to the progenitors, their ethereal forms still flickering weakly after the strain of containing the hybridization process. Your eons of guidance have led to this moment, Lyrix said, gratitude evident in its tone. Allow me to repay that debt. Tendrils of energy extended from Lyrix, enveloping the ancient beings. Their forms stabilized, then grew more vibrant, the deterioration that had plagued them for millennia reversing before the astonished eyes of the humans and Talaxians. The cycle is complete, one of the rejuvenated progenitors announced, its voice strong and clear. You have exceeded our greatest hopes, Lyrix. The future of galactic evolution is now in your hands. Lyrix nodded solemnly, then turned its attention to Colonel Harper, Dr. Zara, and Dr. Webb. Your roles in this grand experiment were crucial, it said. Now I offer you the chance to be part of something even greater. I will serve as an ambassador between humanity, Talaxians, and the wider galactic community. Through me, advanced knowledge and technology will be shared, ushering in an era of unprecedented cooperation and scientific advancement. Before anyone could respond, Lyrix's eyes glowed brightly. But first, a matter to address. Victor Crane and his followers suddenly vanished, teleported back to Earth with their memories of the event erased. Crane would awaken in a rehabilitation center, his xenophobic ideologies re-imbued with a newfound curiosity about extraterrestrial life. With that done, Lyrix extended its consciousness beyond the ship, reaching out to the human and Talaxian fleets orbiting Earth. In an instant, all misunderstandings were dried, and a foundation for lasting peace was established. I have invited representatives from both species to join a Grand Council, Lyrix announced. Together, we will oversee peaceful cooperation and mutual advancement. As the implications of this new reality sank in, Lyrix raised its hands once more. A wave of energy pulsed outward, washing over the ship and beyond. To ensure the prosperity of both species, I have enhanced Talaxian fertility and optimized human genetics for space travel and colonization. The stars await us all. The organic walls of the chamber shifted, creating a viewport that revealed Earth below. The progenitor ship began its descent, guided by Lyrix's will, towards a specially prepared landing area where world leaders and citizens alike had gathered. Colonel Harper stepped forward, his military bearings softened by wonder. What happens now? Lyrix smiled, an expression that carried the warmth of Jeffrey's humanity and the wisdom of Lyra's Talaxian heritage. Now, Colonel, we take our first steps into a new age of galactic cooperation, exploration, and harmony. Will you join us? As the ship touched down on Earth's surface, bathed in the light of a new dawn, Harper nodded. The chamber's exit materialized, revealing a ramp leading down to a world forever changed. Lyrix moved forward, ready to greet the assembled masses and usher in an era of unprecedented unity and discovery. Behind them, the progenitors watched with satisfaction, their long vigil finally at an end. The experiment had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams, and the torch of galactic stewardship had been passed. As Lyrix prepared to address the people of Earth, the air hummed with the potential of a future limited only by imagination in the spirit of cooperation.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.